This next principle in the Dynamic of Discipline series has to do with what I call the police dynamics or the dynamic leadership rule of discipline. It's like a maxim for how you in a character-based environment should administer discipline within an organization. And it has two parts. The first part is let the nature of the offense determine the range of options that are available to you from a disciplinary standpoint, where it might be remedial training, it might be a change in assignment, it might be counseling, it might be direction, it might be some type of warning, it might be writing them up, it might be demoting them, it might be suspending them, it might be even terminating them. But typically there's a range of options, and the nature of the offense, how grievous the offense is, the context within your organization of how your policies are worded, etc., the laws pertaining to administrative procedures within an organization in your particular state, all of these come into play in determining what that range of options might be. And the nature of the offense might be so egregious that you have a very, very narrow range of options. And maybe termination might be the only option. Maybe criminal prosecution might be the only option if the nature of the offense is so egregious. On the other end of the scale, maybe there's a very minor infraction, and in that case it gives you a very narrow range of options on the other end, on the end of being lenient. Or perhaps the offense is of such a nature that you have a large range of options. You have a lot of discretionary authority here and how you would apply a progressive discipline model within your organization. So the range could be narrow on either end, it could be wide somewhere in the middle. It depends on many factors, but the nature of the offense will determine what that range of options is in terms of, is it narrow on the severe end, is it narrow on the leniency end, or is it broader somewhere in the middle? In some cases you might have the entire spectrum of options available to you from a disciplinary standpoint due to the nature of the offense. So that's part one of the rule. Part two is, and this is the one where people have some trouble grasping it, so see if you can get your mind wrapped around it a little bit. Let the character of the offender determine which option you choose. In other words, if you're the supervisor and you're the one responsible of administering discipline here because you're now performing your role, your organizational role of a referee. Remember, in the organizational roles of a supervisor, the referee, the team building roles of a supervisor, the referee is the one that has to call foul, to assess penalties. That's the disciplinary model that we're talking about here. So you look at the nature of the offense to get the range of options, and then within that range you choose an option either on the lenient end or on the more severe end based upon the character of the offender. If they're known to be a faithful member of the organization and they don't typically do anything wrong, and usually you can count on them to do the right thing, they made a mistake and it maybe wasn't too serious of an offense, then you would be more lenient. On the other hand, if the person has a reputation for being out from under authority, they have a reputation for being a renegade, they have a reputation for being a problem child, a troublemaker within the organization, then you might choose an option that's on the more severe end of whatever that range might be. So the rule of discipline is let the nature of the offense determine the range of options available to you, and then let the character of the offender determine which option within that range that you choose. Now in the next video, we're going to look at the path of destruction and the different categories of offenders within an organization and how you might apply a progressive disciplinary model within that context of a character-based organization.